Hey guys, and welcome to a showdown between two fearsome competitors. On the left-hand side, representing the High Elves, we have Mr. Tefel up against Ricky Stark 69 and my favourite Dino Boys. This has always been quite a fun matchup. I tend to think it favours the Lizardmen because they can really push through into the back line quite effectively and shut down that ranged core. So we're going to have to see what the High Elves have brought to counter that today. And it looks like we've got some pretty interesting units in the works. So let's dig into this. For the front line, we have Rangers dotted across the front line, cheap, cheerful, and will carve a bloody path through Skinks. They will even do pretty decent up against red-crested Skinks, though will struggle with the more elite and stalwart Saurus battle line. In the central core, we have triple archers, in fact 4 archers. That's going to be a decent amount of long-range pressure. You don't have to bring Sisters of Avalon, go with these super expensive archers. Just wave after wave of arrows shall blot out the sun, and strength in numbers rather than strength in skill. Although Elvish archers obviously are quite talented. We have some Phoenix Guard in the back line to help protect them, and on the left-hand flank we have Silver Helms with shields, as well as some Illyrian Reaver archers hidden in the forest. And the same situation on the right-hand side with more Reaver archers, and once again more Silver Helms. With a nice little air core of a Great Eagle on the right-hand side, supporting an Archmage of Beasts. This is a really interesting pick. I don't see the Archmage of Beasts terribly often, particularly on a Great Eagle, so let's see how she performs today. She has Book of Hoeth, Armour of Stars, which is such a nice ability, but gives you Stalk and Unspottable, so it's really hard to snipe you in the air. Arcane Conduit, the Amber Spear, Flock of Doom, as well as the Great Eagle Summon. We'll have to see how that performs, but I can see in the background those sneaky Chameleon Stalkers are at it once again. We have 3 Stalkers, and this is how I love to use them as well. They're going to be able to dart in and to really shut down the archers if the High Elf player isn't careful. It is a very wide battle line for the Lizardmen, which is certainly a good way to play this. We have Saurus Spears, as well as Skink Cohorts with Javelins, and basic Saurus dotted all the way along here in a nice long battle line. And in the back, we have 1 unit of Skink Cohorts, whose main job, it would seem, is to protect the Slar Mage Priest of High Magic, who has come with a Tempest. So those Eagles need to be a little bit careful. We do have a Tempest, Hand of Glory, and Apotheosis. And Hand of Glory is going to be really useful on the Pale Death here. The Regiment of Renown, Feral Troglodon, one of the most underrated units, I think, at least from my personal experience, from the Lizardmen DLC. I've basically seen no one else bring the Pale Death apart from myself. It does have Primeval Roar, which is kind of a weird ability because it increases melee attack, and you generally want the Pale Death to be shooting from range. It works amazing in box builds, particularly up against Vampire Counts, where it can snipe their large creatures and buff those Temple Guard if those creatures do decide to swoop in for a bit of a scrap. So we'll have to see how the Pale Death does fare today. I believe it does cost about 2,000 gold. It is really expensive, so it certainly is going to have its work cut out for it here today. Archers are unleashing hell right now upon the Skink Cohorts with Javelins, and at the end of the day, damage is damage, so those Skink Cohorts trying to get their Javelins off before they do get decimated here. And we do have a big fat Overcast Amber Spear smacking the Pale Death on the side of its snout. It's not going to be liking that too much. It is a blind creature, so unfortunately doesn't know how to juke and dive. Was Overcast though, the Archmage did miscast, so taking a considerable amount of damage herself as well. And the front line is now well and truly underway, with Saurus getting down and dirty with the Rangers in the front line. And this is going to be a pretty fearsome fight, I would like to think. Illyrian Reavers are starting to pour shots up and over into the Saurus, but you can see the Rangers are really struggling right now and starting to buckle. Shield of the Old Ones does go down to protect the Pale Death, which is now shooting up in the air at the Great Eagle, doing some really big damage. Look at that one-hit damage right there. Chameleon Stalkers are starting to swarm in the rear. We're going to see a banishment come down the archers, and it is eviscerating those pointy-eared princesses. And yeah, that is not a good day for them. Down to half health after 1 cast. Luckily, though, it does seem to kind of go into the middle of nowhere, but the Stalkers are afoot, as is a Tempest down on the Archmage. You can see the Grey Eagle just got really badly dumpstered by the Pale Death, coming in with those awesome little snouty shots it does do. Slar Mage Priest the High, though, has taken quite a pounding at the moment. We do have a summoned Great Eagle swooping down. There's not too much in the back burners here to help protect the Slan. The Pale Death may have to give up its pursuit of the Archmage, fall back to deal with the Great Eagle, but look at that combination. Tempest to pin the Archmage in place, and then the Pale Death to swoop in and do some massive damage. In the back line, Stalkers are overrunning archers left, right and centre. The Reavers have driven back to try to protect them, as well as the Phoenix Guard, who have taken basically no damage from the Chameleon Stalkers. It is but a scratch. The Great Eagle Summon in the back is now being tied up by a load of Skink Cohorts, and it looks like we do have Aura of Quetzal and Hand of Glory going down on the Pale Death, up in its melee attack to 73, allowing it to beat back that rather terrified Great Eagle, who did return to the fray and give a parting shot as well. Good boy, Pale Death. Silver Helms are lurking in the back though. They can either rear charge these Lizardmen on the right hand side or push back into the goodie jar, which of course is going to be the Slann Mage Priest, who's really is being roasted alive right now by these archers. The Chameleon Stalkers need to continue that pursuit if they want a chance of shutting them down and saving the Slann. Did the Archmage live? It looks like she did. She kind of hid behind this little rock here, gathered herself for a few moments, saying, don't worry, you've got this, you're an elf, we've handled worse before, and is now going to come back into the fray. Slann does have Apotheosis, so he might want to heal himself up a little bit as he is getting danger low. The Pale Death is dealing with the Silver Helms, but needs the support of Skinks and other warriors, because he is not anti-large like the Carnosaur. Got more Saurus as well for a little bit. I don't need to continue to push into the back line. The Chameleon Stalkers, though, are doing a really good job right now hunting down these archers, but somehow the High Elf player, despite the huge pressure in the back, has still managed to keep 2 archers online. That is some real top-notch play right there, and they are pouring on the fire to the Slann Mage Priest. Seems like we are going to get another Great Eagle summon coming in. Look at it swoop down from the skies. And it may just want to go chuck it all in on the line and just go after this Slann Mage Priest. We can see the other Great Eagle has returned for its 3rd scrap against the Pale Death. It's 2-0 down so far, but you never know. Big Amber Spear comes in, catching the Slann in the rear, and it looks like the assassination attempt may indeed just about work. The Slann going down, he gets off a banishment just in time. It's probably a bit of a panicky one, as it doesn't unfortunately hit the enemy. The Pale Death is now in a little pocket of space, at least for a moment. He's going to fire some shots in, and he drags down that Great Eagle. He's had enough of it messing him up. But the Silver Helms come in to pin the Pale Death in place, and now the Phoenix Guard have arrived. The Pale Death can be a little bit squishy. Looks like it may indeed get dragged down, but Skin Cohort's trying to push it in and give him an opportunity to escape, and he has done just that. Balance power is slightly in favour of the Lizardmen at the moment, but losing their Lord is pretty huge, but they need to be careful, otherwise they could lose their own one as well, as the Pale Death lines up a shot and connects with the Archmage, who is down very low now to 429 HP, just about clinging on. Second shot whizzes by. That was a nice little juke as the Eagle kind of swoops along there. The other Eagle was summoned, unfortunately just flattens itself and crumples into the ground. It's kind of a real horrible endgame moment. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark, and he goes down and dies. The Saurus Spears do push into the Silver Helms there. Phoenix Guard as well are doing a good job, and another Amber Spear hits the Pale Death. Oh, that is beautiful. It's going to rampage him, so it's forcing him into combat right where the Phoenix Guard are. I'd like to think the Archmage planned this perfectly, and there is no Slann for that cold-blooded. The Pale Death has just rampaged into its inevitable doom. There are some Saurus Spears here to support, and they can drag down the Silver Helms, but 72 Phoenix Guard, who already have 116 kills, will probably be able to finish off the Pale Death. He needs to escape as quickly as possible and try to snipe out the enemy commander. There's a load of Saurus left alive, though, and Chameleon Stalkers. There's one unit of archers low on ammunition and Reavers low on ammunition, so it's a very close game so far. Balance of power very heavy in the favour at the moment of the Lizardmen, but they are about to lose the Pale Death. Archmage or Silver Helms can escort it off the battlefield, and they certainly want to do that because it is the only unit left, I believe, that can still threaten the Archmage, who otherwise can just float around up in the sky and have an absolute whale of a time. In the distance, Saurus Warriors have managed to catch some of the Reavers and Archers and kind of putting them in their place. Looks like the Reavers did charge in an attempt to save the Archers, as they are now out of ammunition, but that's not a fight that's going to go too well for them. You can see the Saurus really are starting to cleave them apart, and the horses do get dragged down with their riders. And Balance Power has come slightly back a tiny bit more towards the middle, because look at this big old tear out going down right here. I believe a Flock of Doom did hit this. Apologies for missing that. And yeah, it was a Flock of Doom, it must have been, because look at that break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units all breaking from the might of the Phoenix Guard. Balance Power is still, though, in the favour of the Lizardmen, but if these units can be escorted off the field, I think the High Elves will be in a pretty dominant position. In the distance, we can see the poor Pale Death is being forced off here. No chance of survival. Archmage needs to be a little careful, though, because the Pale Death does cause terror, and she does not have much HP or leadership. If she terror outs and runs away and he is allowed to come back into the battle, he can definitely finish her off with just one more shot. A load of the Lizardmen forces have rallied, but the Reavers are going to crash into the back of the Saurus Warriors and break them upon the anvil, which is the Phoenix Guard. We do have Rangers coming back into the fray as well. Saurus Warriors, we have 60 and 47 there and there, 35 down here, and some Chameleon Stalkers. It's still a very scrappy game. With the balance of power in their favour, perhaps these Saurus will gain the courage to continue to scrap and fight. But one more scary Flock of Doom, which is all that it took to break this army once, would probably be enough again. It's really going to depend on the winds of magic. And the Archmage is really far away right now. That the Pale Death, Regiment Renowned Feral Troglodon, has taken the longest possible route to freedom. And as he's kind of, kill me, keeps taunting her. He's actually doing his team quite a lot of favours right here, keeping that magic away from the battlefield, because the Rangers have now broken. Reavers are contemplating a charge. Rangers are trying to flee, but those skinks are relatively swift across the ground, are going to catch them, break them, and eat them for supper. Phoenix Guard trying to fall back to the high ground where possible, as the cavalry streams out down this flank. There's 23 Silver Helms left, and they have eyes on the prize, and their prize today is going to be some skink cohorts with javelins. We can follow this little charge down the hill as it does lance in. If someone could add in some trumpet sounds now, that'd be pretty epic. But it looks like the skinks actually don't want to fight, and shatter on the approach is a little sad, so that's going to be a bit of a limp charge, unfortunately. Phoenix Guard do make a last-ditch stand, trying to move to the top of the hill as the Archmage... Oh god, I thought the Archmage was shattered there, but no, she's fine. She's on her way back. With Arcane Conduit and Book of Her have popped, there's at least one more Flock of Doom in this. Archers are starting to move up, looking to shoot these enemies in the rear, and we have Reavers chasing down troops in the forest. Saurus Warriors getting trodden under hoof here. Some skinks might be able to make it back, but Silver Helms have now dispatched and shattered the skink cohorts. Can come back and finish them off, but unfortunately the Phoenix Guard have been caught here and surrounded. The Lizardmen player needs to be careful though. If there's a Flock of Doom, look how low the leadership is on all of these Saurus and skink units. Some of them being shattered already, 2 shattered in fact, before the might of the Phoenix Guard, who are currently 2 chevrons up and 191 kills. They've been a real MVP here. Can be very talented up against the Lizardmen. They're decent against the infantry, amazing against the large dinosaurs if you can pin them in place. Saurus Warriors are trying to push through each other to get up to the Phoenix Guard to drag them down. Their leadership is getting rather low at the moment. Silver Helms are here though. They've shattered another unit of skink cohorts. I would like to see them whip around here and slam into the back of the Saurus Warriors, and we do indeed get a Flock of Doom. Balance power is so close to army losses for the High Elves, but I think they have this. The Flock of Doom, maybe not. Silver Helms need to crash in right now. Follow up with that Flock of Doom. They've just taken a load of damage. Hit them where it hurts. Their leadership. This is how you win late games. You don't kill stuff, you break stuff. And it looks like the Stalkers have taken considerable damage at the moment. Skink cohorts break, and a big fat amber spear comes down the line into those Saurus Warriors, who are starting to struggle. 2 units is all that remains, as the balance power still in the Lizardmen favour. Phoenix Guard refusing to back down right now. 18 models left. Hold firm, brave warriors of All For One. Allow the cavalry to whip up and around and slam into these guys from the rear. The Archmage may have to get down and dirty and involved in combat with so little health it's risky. And it looks like he's actually just taunting there, going in for a little swoop and coming back out. Silver Helms crash into the flank of the Saurus spear, shield wall. And 1 unit breaks. The Phoenix Guard just about clinging to life with over 200 kills. And the Saurus Warriors as well, fighting tooth and claw, but their leadership is now -3, and they break and run. Both units will now most likely be run down by the mixture of Silver Helms and Archmage, while Arcane Conduit and Book of Hoef going to give her some more Winds of Magic in the later stages here. There are some skinks left. There's Chameleon Stalkers and Skink Cohort, but they're both wavering pretty hardcore here. The Archmage can float over. Phoenix Guard should just take a breather, man. They've put in an absolute shift today, defending the lines really effectively. Silver Helms with a very tired charge into the Saurus Warriors, who actually counter-punch back as hard as possible. But with the Archmage in here, look how quickly the balance of power has shifted. And even with everything in the entire Lizardmen force running, balance power is still like, nah, Lizardmen got this, dog, they're cool. There are 35 Saurus Spears who have come back in the forest. I think we're going to fast forward this a little bit as it's just chasing down routing units at the end of the game here. Saurus Warriors being finished off. Is there a chance for these Spearmen to win the day? I mean, there's 35 of them. If their leadership holds, they would comfortably clean up everything that is left. But the leadership's going to be the big problem. I mean, 15 Phoenix Guards not going to be a problem whatsoever. Likewise, 17 Archers or just the 18 Silver Helms. And the Archmage is very danger low. But all of them hitting them at once will probably be enough to break their leadership. So we're going to have to see how this late game is managed by both players. I mean, there's not too much the Lizardmen can do. Just get the Saurus Warriors up on top of a hill and vibe, stand your ground, and hope to drag your enemy down. As for the Elves, like to see the Phoenix Guard make a line. Silver Helms then to crash in from the rear as the Mage also strikes at the same time. Would probably be the best bet. Now, the Saurus Spears are actually a downhill charge on the Phoenix Guard, which looks bad for the High Elves, but that's then going to allow the Silver Helms to also get a downhill charge into the rear of the Saurus, and they're not going to like that one bit. Phoenix Guard desperately clinging to power right now, and in comes the Archmage swooping in at the same time as the Silver Helms, right into the rear of those Saurus Spears, and their leadership down to 1, back up to 7 though. They're just about holding firm. If they can kill the Archmage, they might just have this, but the Silver Helm combined with the Archmage charge does indeed beat back the Dino Boy Hope, and my Lizardmen loving heart is now broken. What have you done to me, Mr. Tefel? But an absolutely fantastic game. Really well played. I liked his build a lot. And the Archmage Beast pitting in a shift. I don't know why more high elf players don't bring her. She did some really good work. Well played to Ricky Stark 69 as well, representing the Dino Boys proud. I love the pick of the Pale Death and thought he put up a pretty good fight as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this battle. We will get through the damage dealt and damage value of all of the units in just a second. Very excited to see how the Pale Death did. But before we get there, if you did enjoy the video, then make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content. And comment, what did you think of this battle? Did you have an MVP? Was there any favourite moments of the battle for you? And did you just enjoy it in general? Let me know as well what factions you'd like to see more on the channel. We've been focusing a lot on Lizardmen and Beastmen, of course, over the last month or so, due to the new DLC and all that good stuff. And there's still quite a lot of goodies that I haven't seen too many YouTubers talk about yet, which we will delve into, of course, in the future. There are links down below in the description to my Patreon where you can support the channel, as well as my Discord if you'd like to submit replays, get involved in tournaments and events that I host, and all that kind of goodness. And so yeah, on to the damage dealt and damage value. 86 kills, 1,483 damage value. Really lovely Flock of Doom and Amber Spear at the death there to clutch victory. And the Eagles were actually used to hunt down the Slann with relatively good success. As for the Rangers, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Not the best damage value. They're really good up against skinks, but there were so many Saurus here on the battlefield, they just kind of overwhelmed them, and that unfortunately can happen now and again. Phoenix Guard were absolute ballers. 1,946 damage value, over 15k damage dealt, and 223 kills. Good, both up against the elite troops as well as the lower tier troops, and the combination there of rampaging the Pale Death after it had lost its cold-blooded Slann to help kind of guide it and keep it under control into the Phoenix Guard really was quite a clutch play, and I think one of the reasons the high elf player managed to pull this one out the bag. Archers did a brilliant job. 700 damage value, 1,112. 360 and 338, the last two being caught out by the Chameleon Stalkers. But it just goes to show you, you don't need elite archers. Cheap and cheerful archers can do the job as well. Silver Helms, one unit really struggling, only 334 damage value, but the other one, absolutely perfect micro from them. 281 kills, 1,471 damage value, 14k damage dealt. They really did pull it out. Linen Reaver Archers, 789 and 484 damage value, rather respectable. And the Great Eagle, unfortunately, only 363. Really did kind of get countered there by the Pale Death of Ricky Stark. Slann Mage Priest of High Magic, 955 damage value, pretty much coming from those Tempests. The poor little Skinks did get dumpstered. The Chameleon Stalkers had a very good day, at least for the most part. 856 damage value, only 416 on the middle one, who did deal with the Phoenix Guard. And 1,089 on this last unit, good backline harass unit. 1,497 and 452 damage value for the Saurus Spears. You can see this first unit performing really well. And the other Saurus, 616, 960 and 729 damage value. Really starting to cleave a bloody path through the high elf line to then push into the back force. The little Skinks with Javelins did pretty good. I mean, 2 units paid for themselves, 2 didn't. I guess that's kind of what you expect, but nothing crazy of the damage value. And the Pale Death, the Regiment of Renowned Feral Troglodon, 2,195 damage value, 7,879 damage dealt, and 17 kills. Really applied the pressure to the Archmage. One more hit would have killed her. Was also very good at dealing with the Great Eagle. So such a close game. Could have gone one or two different, could have gone either way, I suppose, in one or two big moments of the battle. Super fun one to cast though. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.